Okay, here's our second video on rearranging equations. These equations, I'm going to rearrange three different equations into slope-intercept form. General form, point slope form, and standard form into slope-intercept form. What you do have to remember is that slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. There are no other parameters, like in general form, other than the fact that y has to be positive, not positive. Y has to be positive, and it has to be by itself. It has to be completely isolated, just y. You cannot have like 2y or 2 over 3y. It has to be all by itself. Okay, so in order to do our rearranging, I'm going to start with general form, then I'll do point slope form, and then I will do standard form. In converting general form to slope-intercept form, there are two different methods that you could use, and it depends on what your comfort level is with working with these equations. So I'll do both of them. I'll do one on one side of this line and other on the other side of this line, just so that you can see both. They both end up in exactly the same place, so it really doesn't matter. Whichever one works best for you. So 3x minus 5y minus 10 equals 0. So if I know that slope-intercept form has to have the y value isolated, has to have this term by itself, the y isolated, then what I need to do is move the other things, okay? Or move the y itself. So that's the other method. So there's two methods. I'll show you both. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to leave the 5y here, and I am going to move the 3x, and I'm going to move the 10. By doing that, that means I need to subtract 3x from this side of the equal sign and subtract 3x from this side of the equal sign. Because whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other. These will cancel. That leaves me minus 5y minus 10 equals, and then 0 take away 3x, minus 3x. The next thing I need to do is get rid of this 10, so I need to add 10 because I have to do the opposite. Okay? So this is going to be minus 5y. These will cancel, minus 3x plus 10. Now my last step, sometimes the most confusing, this is minus 5 times y. Okay, you have to remember that's minus 5 times y. So to get rid of it, the opposite function is division. So I need to divide by minus 5. And because I divide by minus 5, I divide this by minus 5 and this by minus 5. Both things on the other side of the equal sign. These will cancel, leaving me with y. I have minus 3x over minus 5. And then I have plus 10 over minus 5. And then I need to do a little bit of simplification. Minus over a minus, oops, let's back that up one. Minus over a minus, that becomes a plus. So this is just 3 over 5x. And then plus 10 divided by minus 5 becomes minus 2. Now you can see I'm in slope-intercept form. My y value is positive. There's no coefficients other than that invisible one, which is always there. Okay, there's no other coefficients. There's my slope-intercept form. The other method, some students find a little bit easier. 3x minus 5y minus 10. 3x minus 5y minus 10 equals 0. Some students find this easier. Others don't, just because you have to be fairly adept at rearranging equations and understanding how you can write them. So if I know I need this y value or this y term by itself, then what I can do is simply move this right away and get it by itself. So if I add 5y and I add 5y, then you can see I've potentially eliminated myself a step. Minus 5y plus 5y, those will cancel. I'm just left with 3x minus 10 is equal to 0 plus 5y is 5y. But then you might be asking yourself, well, that's not in the right order. That's kind of backwards. And this is what I mean, that you have to understand how to write these equations. Well, because these are backwards, I can simply just change the order. I could write this as 5y equals 3x minus 10, because all I need to do is just take this 5y and the equal sign and put it on the other side, which is all I've done. 5y minus 3x or equals 3x minus 10. Now at this point, I still need my y by itself, so I'm going to divide by 5. I'm going to divide this by 5 and this by 5 also. These will cancel. Leaves me with, oops, leaves me with y, and then 3 over 5x, and then negative 10 over 5 is minus 2. So you get to exactly the same place, but you have to understand how to rewrite these equations depending on what order you want them in. Okay. So there's our first one. Here it is all on one screen. If you want to screenshot it or take a picture or whatever, you go. Now our second one is rearranging point slope form to slope intercept form. The process is a little bit, it's very similar. You just need to rearrange so that you get y by itself. This isn't quite point slope form yet, is it? Now it is. There we go. Okay. So in point slope form to slope intercept form, the first thing we need to do is we need to multiply this 2 over 3, this minus 2 over 3 into this brackets using our distributive property. Y plus 3 stays the same. Negative 2 over 3 times x is negative 2 over 3x. And then negative 2 over 3 times 4, I'll do over here. Negative 2 over 3 times 4. To multiply fractions, we need to have fractions, so it's 4 over 1. And then it's straight across the bottom, straight across the top, straight across the bottom. Negative 8 over 3. So this becomes minus 8 over 3. Now, the beauty of point slope form is that once you've done that, there's only one other step. You need to isolate the y. I need this y by itself, so I need to subtract 3 and subtract 3 on both sides of the equal sign. These will cancel. That leaves me with y. Then minus 2 over 3x stays. And then this minus 8 over 3 minus 3, I need to work out somewhere. So again, you need to understand your fractions. Negative 8 over 3 minus 3. In order to add and subtract fractions, we need a common denominator. So this is 3 over 1. My common denominator is 3. So the negative 8 over 3 stays the same. Minus, and then in order to convert this fraction 3 over 1 to a denominator of 3, I multiply by 3. So the top and bottom. Oops. So this becomes minus 9 over 3. And when we add and subtract, we just add and subtract the numerators. The denominator stays the same, so this is still going to be on 3. And then I go minus 8 minus 9 is going to be minus 17. So then over here becomes minus 17 over 3, because this carries right over here. Okay. So a little bit shorter steps, but sometimes more complicated because you have fractions that you have to deal with. And everybody loves fractions. Okay. So there it is, one screen. You can screenshot it or take a picture, whatever you wish. And then we have our last form, standard form to point or to slope intercept form. Just like this. So with standard form to slope intercept form, there's only really one way that you could, there's a few different ways you could do this, as long as you're isolating the y. So it depends on what you want to do. And depends on signs as well. Okay? But I know I need this y by itself, which means I need to move this 2x. Okay? So in moving that 2x, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. These will cancel. This gives me 3y is equal to minus 2x minus 4. Notice I'm writing these in proper order right away instead of having to change them after. And then I need the y by itself, so I'm just simply going to divide by 3. Divide this by 3, divide this by 3. These will cancel. I'm left with y, negative 2 over 3 x, and then minus 4 over 3. And totally fine to leave those as fractions. Okay. So standard form to slope-intercept form, quite a few less steps, but still something that we need to be able to do. Okay. So there you go. You've got 2 different videos that show rearranging of all the different equations. Contact me again if you need some assistance. Again, my email address. That's a name. Or Snapchat. Okay. We will see you next time.